Is hate speech free speech? We're talking about Kanye, we're talking about his Twitter controversies, but most importantly, we're talking about the shirt selling, the swastika shirt, also labeled on the website as HH1.
What is HH1?
I think that's supposed to mean Heil Hitler, and that's not okay. But is it free speech, right? We're attorneys, we're talking about legality. I have to say it's free speech, but at the same time, the company who's removing the shirts off of the website, that's their prerogative as well, right? So you want to do something monumentally offensive and stupid in your speech, then the public and companies who are supporting you have the ability to not like it and not buy it and not sell it. And that's, I think you're going to continue to see some more fallout from Kanye. But at the same time, right, we're living in a world, right, where these issues of anti-Semitism, it's rising. We've got, Nazi groups marching in Ohio. That's become a big situation. So this is just yet another issue regarding anti-Semitism and Nazis becoming more empowered. Thank you, sir. That's the word I'm looking for. Empowered to say this dumb crap and to push these stereotypes. And so Kanye is going to have some issues.
Let me jump in. I'm Jewish, right? That's fine.
No one's making that mistake.
I'm Jewish, and regardless of if this is anti-Semitic hate speech, we got to talk about if it's just hate speech and whether or not hate speech is free speech. So, a lot of people look at the hate speech and they say, does it incite violence?
And that's the rule.
Does it incite riots? Does it create something that is illegal, right? So free speech is free speech. Essentially, you're allowed to go on forums, Reddit, Google, and you're allowed to, post different things, whether it is anti-Semitic or not, whether it's some sort of racial, there's some sort of racial undertone or, it discriminates against people's ethnicities. People could do whatever they want when it comes to freedom of speech. But first off, who's monitoring the hate speech? What platform it is on? Did somebody hit a little terms and conditions button like they do on Instagram saying, I will not or I will do certain things under the terms and conditions of your platform? Shopify in this situation obviously said, we're not going to allow this sale of something that is maybe creating some sort of insurrection. But the reality of it is that Shopify has the end all be all to say, nope, sorry, no swastikas, no Heil Hitler t-shirts are being sold ever on our website, and good for them, power to them to make that decision. So it depends. If Kanye wants to sell these t-shirts out of the back of his trunk, he's probably allowed to do that, right? But again, on a platform that has terms and conditions and rules, they're able to regulate what they choose is appropriate or not for whatever their moral values or whatever their mission is essentially for them running a company. So after you, Rich.
I mean, Shopify operates a business where they allow the entrepreneurs open a store through their platform.
Yeah.
And the entrepreneurs, in consideration, pay money through their clientele and a piece of percentage to Shopify. Why should Shopify or any other company have a right to be subjective as to what they feel is harmful or not harmful to their product? Again, the fact that Kanye West, is still in the news after all this time, we're talking about the same topics, he's doing something right. Whether you agree or disagree with his products, the fact that we're talking about him is publicity, and it gets people going about his products. Yeah. And that is just what our world that we live in. Now, again, I don't agree with the line that he's coming out with. I don't agree with all that personally, but the fact, let him sell it. Who cares? If he sells it and people buy it, then obviously there's support behind it. If he sells it and nobody buys it, guess what? The message is loud and clear. They're not behind it, and he'll either drop it because he's not going to lose money. But the fact is, we keep talking about it. We keep putting lighter fluid on this fire that never seems to go out. And the issue is, I think there's definitely some mental health issues with Kanye. I think that's without a doubt, right? So that's clear. But
I would agree with that.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact is, again, we're talking about speech. Look at the speech from there. He has a right to sell and to create anything he wants.
He does.
Shopify
has the right to not allow him to sell.
Perhaps through their terms and conditions,
it's their guidelines.
But again, I don't agree that their terms and conditions should overrule somebody's First Amendment speech. Now, again,
he can go sell elsewhere.
He could sell.
Wait a second. Wait. We live in a country where we treat corporations as individuals for purposes of taxes, for purposes of campaign finance, and a lot of other situations. So to say that a corporation doesn't have the ability to yay or nay.
Nice.
Free speech, and to say to a customer, you know what? I don't like what you're selling, and you're not going to put it on my platform. And by the way, not only do I have the ability to do that because I'm a corporation recognized by the laws of the United States of America, but I also, you just click terms and conditions, and those terms and conditions, you're violating them.
Absolutely.
And by the way, and again, and just backing up, right, and Josh had alluded to it earlier, free speech is massive, and we're not a democratic country if we don't have free and open free speech.
Correct.
Right? And the line that gets drawn is, does that incite violence? Do I think Kanye selling swastika t-shirts incites violence? Probably not. And if you take it to court, it's probably something that gets protected by free speech, but doesn't require the company to sell it, right?
Correct.
But he's not going to get in trouble for it.
But also, the company has no duty to
Correct.
allow
Correct.
Kanye's
Exactly.
free speech rights.
Absolutely.
The private corporation has no duty to give Kanye or any other lunatic out there to say and do whatever they want. It's their platform.
I believe they're publicly traded, so they're not a private corporation any longer.
Well, private corporation, publicly traded company, it doesn't matter, regardless of the fact is that they don't have the same standards. You know, free speech is allowed in certain forms and restricted in certain forms from government entities,
Correct.
not from corporations. So the corporation can do whatever they want, whether it was an individual president that decided not to allow this, or it was a board of 700 people. It doesn't matter. They're saying no to Kanye's, inappropriate T-shirt sales, and they have the right to do so.
But the problem is this becomes a slippery slope, and I'm talking more outside of just Kanye. If you have these businesses say, "Oh, you could sell your product here," I don't agree with this one. So, again, we're very divisive in this country with different beliefs, right? And we just experienced that. We saw the last 4 years of a political agenda. In some companies like Meta, Facebook, curtailed some information that from one side over the other.
Yep.
Again, did they have the right to do that? Was that free speech, or was that subjective on their part? Since that election ended, they switched their platform saying that, no, we're going to allow everybody to have free speech. So should that happen here with Kanye? Should he be allowed to sell his items on Shopify? Again, terms and conditions, I understand that part, fine. But to say that he can't sell that entirely, I think is wrong. I think that you are curtailing his First Amendment right to.
But they owe no
speech.
But they owe no duty
under the
They owe
First
no duty.
And I agree with that.
It's a government
They-
situation.
Yeah. Just like Meta owes no duty, and they could
Correct.
curtail free speech on Facebook or Meta, whatever the case may be, right? Now, the whole point of, just real quick, the whole point of curtailing posts and videos on social media, they say, is essentially, or what they said, and I watched Zuckerberg say this, that it was essentially to monitor whether or not things were going to happen. Like there shouldn't be videos on YouTube about how to build a bomb, right? Those are things that could cause violence, right? And those types of actions should be curtailed, or there shouldn't be things that incite riots or insurrections or government takeovers. Those private corporations can monitor their own platform. Just like we own our own law firm, we can monitor what is done within the rights of our own platform.
And the other aspect you have to remember too is that you have a right to believe anything you want, but you can be restricted on how to practice your beliefs. The government can't tell you what you can believe, what you can't believe, but they can limit how you practice.
I think when you have a massive celebrity like Kanye pushing and selling hate speech, which swastikas are, it gives more people the impetus to take up those views and take up those beliefs, right? And that's where you start to get into, is it insightful? Is it doing something that's going to cause someone to cause harm to someone else? And that's where you've got First Amendment scholars and legal scholars who debate this, in law schools and con law classes forever. But I think something we cannot deny is that there has been an increase, and there continues to be increases in anti-Semitic violence and incidents occurring in the country. And having Kanye, who's one of the most not influential, but just very well-known people around, selling swastika shirts and has said some pretty awful things about Jewish people, just gives other people out there oh, cool, I'm going to say that too, and I'm going to take up that belief too. And so that's something that has to be looked at and considered. And I think that's part of what Shopify did, which they're allowed to do. And there's some platforms that aren't going to allow that or will allow it. But Shopify took a stance and say, no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, I think ultimately, just to wrap this all up here, is whether or not Kanye moving forward is allowed or not allowed. If Kanye wants to form his own platform and he wants to have his own T-shirt sales through his own website that he designs, he probably is able to do that, but to do it through a private corporation, that private corporation is ultimately allowed to refuse the sale of certain things, regardless of whatever that image or whatever that depiction on that T-shirt actually is. They have the authority to essentially put a stop to whatever those sales actually are. So, again, Shopify, good for you for standing up. In my opinion, hate speech versus free speech is always going to be a topic of conversation in this country. This is not going to be the final talks of it.
No.